Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Come on in. Come on in. Let's see. Ricardo Lima from Maryland. All right. Levi from Queen City, North Carolina. I'm not sure where Queen City is. Is that Charlotte? um, let's see. Uh, Molly from Malaysia. Wow. Let's see. Julio Castillo from Argentina. Thanks for the compliment, Julio. Let's see. Sydney from South Africa. Derek from Baltimore. So two people from Maryland, the DMV area. KD from St. Louis. What's going on, KD? All right, Boston is in the house. All right, we have Auburn, Alabama. All right, come on in. Come on, JT from Dallas. Dave from Canada. Wow. Wow. Nova Scotia. All right. Robert from Fayetteville. Hosea from Daytona Beach, Florida. Another person from Dallas. All right, we'll give everybody just a few more moments, then we're going to get started. We have a lot to cover today. Something pretty interesting. Fun fact: I grew up in the Killeen Fort Hood area, so I am a Texan at heart. All right. So I'm assuming, let's do a quick tech check. So can everyone hear me clearly? Can everyone hear me clearly? All right. Yeah, Ricardo, a lot of that stuff just dropped too, so you start recognizing that sound. Yeah. All right, cool. Elijah, good to see you. Modenela? I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but thanks for being on. All right. Okay. All right, so listen, today I want to talk about the secret to improvement. How do we improve, and how do we improve quickly? This is a question that I've thought about, and I thought about in my own life. And so what I wanted to do was literally just kind of take you behind the scenes and walk you through kind of what I used and how I improved. I remember I was just kind of a pretty bad to average musician, and I talked to a guy named Marcus Printup, who was a trumpeter, played with the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis. He's a phenomenal trumpeter. And I asked him, like, how did you go from being like regular to being good? And he told me, 2 hours a day of practice for 2 years. That's what it took him. And I was like, I can do that. But then the next question I had was, what do I practice? And how do I practice? What do I work on? And so what I want to do is just kind of share that with you. Um, and so there are interesting quotes. One interesting quote is from Bill Evans, where he talks about when someone asked him, what did he practice? And his response was the minimum, meaning small little segments. And so that is going to be our key to improvement, to fast improvement, is we work on small little segments, small little bite-sized nuggets, and we master them, and then they become part of our the way we play, and part of our vocabulary. And I was thinking, if I learned one new thing every week, at the end of the year, that would be 52 new things that I could interject in a song. And that's not counting variations or anything like that. If I learned 2 new things a week, that would be 100 new things I can add into a song. And so, you're starting to get my drift that just learning these small little nuggets will greatly increase your playing. Improve your playing, rather. So, okay. I have kind of a 3-step process that I want to share with you all, and then kind of just demonstrate it in front of you all. I haven't actually spent a lot of time crafting the perfect practice thing. I'm just choosing some licks that I know I do, and I remember how I learned them. And I'm going to share that process with you so you can see kind of behind the scenes. Okay, so listen. All right, this is a question that I need everyone to answer. Here is the question. I'm going to write it on the screen. Are you transcribing? All right, so I need everybody to answer. Are you transcribing? So I'm seeing some yeses, some no's, some sometimes. Okay. So Devontae says depends on the genre. For gospel, yes. Jazz, no. Interesting. Sam, Sam, good to see you. Sam says yes. Urban says no. That's different from learning a song. Yeah, transcribing is very different from learning a song. It's a completely different. They're 2 different things. All right. Levi says only for gigs outside of comfort zone. Okay. First off, let's define our terms, because I think some of you all have different terminology. What is transcribing? What is transcribing? Let me write this on the screen. Uh-oh. That's not good. Let's see if we can't get it back. Alright, so what is transcribing? Does anybody know? What is transcribing? All right, so there are a couple ways to transcribe. So let's go through this. Well, what is transcription? Transcription is simply learning something that you hear someone else play. Now, Thomas has it right. Learning a solo or changes by ear and then notating it. Now, the notating part is a separate piece. All right, so let's separate the 2. So transcribing, learning the lick itself, whatever it is. Learning it is one thing, and actually writing it down is a separate thing. Now, transcribing generally, when you think about it, generally refers to writing it down, but it doesn't have to. I used to write down all of my transcriptions, and then I stopped writing them, but I still transcribe. Um, Now, for those who prefer to write your transcriptions down, there is a preferred way to do it. It's actually to learn the transcription and then write it down by memory, and not writing it down. Listen to the record and write the note down, because what often happens when you go that route, listening to the record and writing it down, you don't actually learn it. It never gets to your hand. It goes from your ear to the paper and never to your hands, and in your heart. And so learn the transcription here first, be able to play it, or learn it. So some people do it by ear, just learn it by ear and kind of can scat it and then write it down, and that's great as well. So if you're going to write it down, learn the solo first away from the paper, and then write it wholly down. Like, don't stop writing. All right. But you don't have to write. Okay, and we're still transcribing. We're just not writing it down. And I would say the vast majority of musicians don't write it down. Now, I heard the statement the other day, and I wholeheartedly agree with it, which is that you should always be transcribing something. You should always be transcribing something. This should be part of your practice routine. So we have our normal practice routines where we have songs we have to learn for gigs, or engagements, or events, or church, or whatever it is that you do. That's not really, that's not the practice time we're referring to. That's preparation for a gig or preparation for an event. But that's not the practice time that we're referring to. I generally break my practice sessions up into two sessions. The first one is a technique session where I just work solely on technique, scales, arpeggios, these things. And then the second one is where I learn stuff that I actually don't know. And I have a list of things I need to learn, that I go through and say, okay, I'm learning that today, and try to learn it and apply it to my playing. And it can be from anywhere. Okay, so that's transcribing. Now, question for you all, I need everyone to answer is, what do you transcribe? What do you transcribe? Or rather, what should you transcribe? Let's do that one. What should you transcribe? All right. Modenela asks, how long does your learning session last? So about 2 hours is that learning session. Yeah, about 2 hours. Noriko says Red Garland. I'm a fan of Red Garland for sure. Derek says melodies, chord progressions. Thomas has been on it. Thomas, I think, has hit the nail on the head. Urban says transcribe at a level you are comfortable with. So let me address that point, Urban. I believe in learning, what we're doing basically is learning language. You should always be learning up. So not at your comfort level, but slightly out of your comfort level that's going to pull you up. So it's going to propel you forward. Learning stuff that is relatively easy for you doesn't really propel you to grow. But Thomas has been on it. Where was your answer, Thomas? I see it here. Solos that you think are super hip. Let's see. Vinny says, Derek says short segments. Yeah. Vinny says if I were to, it would be a chord symbol or tabs or extra. Oh, okay. I see what it says. Writing down. Molly says whatever you listen to. Kabbalah says I transcribe whatever I like. Levi says difficult passages, awkward changes. All right. So here is my answer, my go-to answer. You should transcribe whatever resonates with you. transcribe whatever resonates with you. When you're listening, like everyone has a particular sound, everyone has their own sound, right? And so when you're listening to the radio, when you're listening to records, when you're listening to YouTube stuff, and you hear something that grabs your ear, that resonates in your heart, and you say, "Oh, what was that? I have to know. I need to know that. That's the sound I'm looking for." That's what you should transcribe, because that's your sound. That's the sound that resonates with you. That's the sound you want to produce. So those are the things that you should transcribe. And the other stuff that really doesn't resonate with you, well, let's lay that aside. Now, if you have to learn something for a gig, even if it doesn't resonate with you, learn it. But I'm talking about in your own practice growth time. Whatever resonates with you, learn that and learn it well. Let's see. Ryan says, does transcribing have to be written down? No, it does not have to be written down. Matter of fact, the vast majority of transcription, I would venture to say, is not written down. It's simply learned on the instrument. Can you transcribe beyond technicality? I'm not sure what you mean, Molly. Tell me more. Okay. All right. So cool. Everyone's on the same page now. So here's what I have. I have several YouTube lists, like save lists, where anything that I like, I put in the list. And then I have a folder where I mark down timestamps of things I want to learn. I have a iTunes playlist called The Sound that represents the sound that I want to achieve. And so these are the things I listen to, and they all have a particular sound, which is the sound I want to have. So, and those are the things I transcribe. So whenever I run out of things to transcribe, I just go into my folder and I have a massive list of hundreds of short snippets. Now, Derek said short snippets, and let me address that. Short segments. You can learn whole solos, but learning whole solos is hard to implement in your own playing. And so learning short segments is much easier to integrate into and make your own. Okay? All right. So let's kind of walk through this process. So we're all agreed we have to transcribe, and so you should be transcribing all the time. This is how you get better. And there's a couple of processes that happen when you transcribe. Let me just talk about those for a minute, and then we'll get into the meat of the lesson. One, when you're transcribing, you're listening to a particular sound over and over and over again, and you're trying to figure out what it is until you get it. And then when you get it, there's something that happens. So when you're repeatedly listening to this sound, you're training your ear to hear that sound. And then when you get it, it's like a light bulb moment. I remember transcribing many things, trying to figure them out. And when I finally figured out what it was, like these chords, these lines, these licks aren't just lines and licks anymore. They're my friends. I spent hours trying to find you, and now I found you. So I can recognize that particular chord anywhere if I hear it. I can recognize this particular line anywhere because I spent time really, really learning it and trying to find it and unearth it from a record, or a YouTube video, or CD, or MP3. And so this is something that goes unspoken, but is one of the unbelievable benefits of transcribing. It forces your ear to find these sounds and learn them. Right? Not to mention it improves your ear, because the more you transcribe, the better you hear. And then secondly, transcribing gives you, because you're repeatedly listening to the sounds of whatever it is you're trying to hear, you learn that genre. Let's say I'm trying to become a jazz musician. then I learn kind of the jazz stylings the more I listen to the music, and it becomes part of who I am. You can tell that when I started playing piano, I started playing jazz and gospel because when I play, this is what comes out. Because these are the things I inundated my ear with, right? If you heard me play organ, you know I only played that in church because that's the way I play, right? All right, let me look at some of the questions. I think you can transcribe beyond the technicality song you hear. Therefore, I think technicality supersedes and should come first. I think, were you addressing like what you should transcribe as far as the level, Molly? Hmm. I want to start hearing chord progressions better. How can I practice that? Start with a simple chord progression like the 2-5-1 or 5-1 progression, and practice that, and then start listening to music, um, seeing where you hear it. Let's see. Kabbalah says transcribe made me realize that I need to learn the basic stuff that I skip, like basic scales, chords, arpeggios, and all that. Sure. Corey, I like to transcribe the chord that you're playing. Well, this YouTube video will be up. It's available. You actually, matter of fact, yeah, I think you can rewind it now and go back. I'm not sure what I was playing. And it's dropped to my mind. It's not about the wrist and rounds, not. What it's all about. Okay. How intimate you can get with everything else. Yeah, that's a great statement, Modanela. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. Please forgive me if I'm missing it. But yeah, ultimately, here's the deal. Music is about is the language, and so when we're playing music, we're communicating. And so it's not so much about the individual lick, the individual notes, the individual chord, the run. It's about holistically, what am I communicating? Even as I'm talking now, you're not really paying attention to the individual words that I'm saying, but rather the meaning behind the totality of the words I'm saying. And so this is what transcribing does. It's help you get these things into your playing to help them make them part of your language. All right. All right. So let's jump into it now. So I was so what I'm going to do is just going to take a lick that I learned and then tell you my process for integrating this into my playing. All right. So let me see. Are there any more questions before I jump into? Levi says, came to these videos as keys aren't my primary instrument. Okay. Care to comment on using inversions to navigate changes and keep your hands tight? That's a different conversation, but yeah, the whole point of inversions, well, not the whole point, but one advantage of using inversions when you play is you don't have to jump around the piano, for sure. All right. So let's get into this. All right. Here is the first lick I learned. Or not first lick I learned, but one of the ones I remember like spending an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out what it was. It was this thing. All right, can you hear it? I used to hear guys playing this. And I was trying to figure out what are they doing. Like it seems like they're not moving their hands, but I hear multiple chords happening. here is my kind of 3-step process to transcribing. The first thing is find the lick and transcribe it. Devontae says he just asked God that he wanted to learn that. He's not joking. Well, God answers prayers. Music notation, Molly. All right. So the first thing you want to do is transcribe the lick. Now, sometimes these things are really hard to hear, and I just, I've listened to really bad recordings and sat for hours trying to hear. So I'm picking out one note at a time. I'm just trying to hear and hear and hear and get it. I'm looking to see what exactly it is. Maybe using context clues, harmonic context clues. Like, okay, we're going to the G minor after it. So what is it? Okay, so it might be a 5 something, right? And so once you transcribe the lick and get it, and this might take a process. Like I said, I remember spending hours trying to get one particular lick. But once I got them, it became easier and easier and easier and easier and easier. And before long, now I hear something, and sometimes I don't even have to go to the piano. I just hear it and can play it. And I don't have perfect pitch. So then the next thing we want to do is spend some time figuring out what it is theoretically. So does anybody know what that is? What is that? I saw some people say 2/5, and you can think of it like that, but that's not technically what it is. All right. Anybody know? All right, so yeah, Molly, it's on the 5. So let's look at the bass line. So we start with the D and A. Yeah, Derek has dominant sound. So first, D and A are on the outside, right? And then we have this. Kabbalah, you are right. Nicely done. So we have this D sus. How do we know it's sus? Because the G here. So we don't have, in this first chord, we don't have a third, we have the 4. So it's sus4, meaning suspended. The third has been suspended up here to the 4. We have the 7 and 9, and 5th here. Right? And then, excuse me. We move the G to the F sharp. So it becomes, now it's a dominant chord. And our 9 moved to the flat 9. And flat 9 is a great flat 9 is a great, so a 5/7 chord. So D7 flat 9 or any flat 9 chord is great in leading you to minor and even major, but especially minor. All right. Simon says he's lost. Or so Simon. Give me a specific question. I'm not sure where you're lost, and I'll try to help you be found. Here's the chord. All right. All right. So I thought, okay, wow, this could be used to take me to any minor chord, because that's where it was used in this context. D to G. So a D7, the flat 9, to G minor. So then anytime I play the G minor chord, I use this sound, and I did it everywhere. Any key, this was how I played it. It didn't matter what it was. And so I got it there. And then I started experimenting with it and saying, well, what else can I do with this? Right? So we're going from a sus sound to the... Now, if you look at it, if I take the D away, it kind of looks like A minor almost. That's right, Simon. The theory helps knowing placement, for sure. Kind of looks like A minor. So it could replace the 2-5. So whenever I have a 2-5, like 2 to 5, like in G, 2-5, I can use this particular line as well. So if I'm playing a song in G, I don't know, I'll just make something up. That worked out. Oh, that worked out. I did it again. Oh, sorry. Let's try it again. So whenever I'm going to G, I know that I can do that. So then I started thinking about other theoretical routes, right? What else could this work as? Aha! So Kamala asked, what type of sus chord is it? Well, and he put 2, sus 4, sus 2. Well, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the 4 here, so that resolves. So it's a sus 4. If it was sus 2, you would see the E there. So matter of fact, let me put the chord things on here so you can all see them. So, and then. Okay. Now, so I have a lick that I can use to get to major and minor chords. So so whenever I go to a G major or G minor, so G minor could be the 6 of B flat. So if I was in B flat, right, and I was playing a song, so I did it right there. Cool. What about when G minor is not the 6? What else could it be major? A minor, sorry. If it was the 2, it's the 2 and F. So what about when G minor is the 2? Could it work in the key of F? So let's see. So I'm going F to G minor to C to F. So oh, sorry. Alright, sorry, I got distracted. My apologies. It happens sometimes when I start playing, I'm listening to the sounds and I just kind of want to play. Sorry. I forgot where I was, literally. Alright, so let's try this again. So, I'm going to G minor, so I'm going to play a progression. Here's my progression. F major to G minor to C to F. So, let's see. There it is. So wait a minute. This one idea works whenever I go to a major or a minor. So G minor, G major. It works. So, or any minor or major chord, I can use this particular move, and major and minor chords are two of our most popular chords. So literally, I've just transformed my playing with this one idea. But let's think of some other places where we can use this. We know that dominant chords move up a fourth or down a fifth, right? So if I'm on D7, it can move to G, right? But where else can this D7 move? Where else can this D7 flat 9 move? Where else can this go besides to G major or minor? Can it go anywhere else? And this is something I talk about in our quarter moves class, and maybe a few of other courses in our online school. Excuse me. Is dominant chords can not only move down a fifth, right, to G, in this case D7 to G, but they can move up a half step. Derek went pretty advanced. Derek, we're going to come back to that one. Actually, you know what? Let's do that one. Derek said it could be the flat 7, so D to E. Now this whole idea is we're going to a different mode, but let's see what happens. Let's see how I can make this work. All right, so I'm in the key of E. So Derek said a D7 could be used as a flat 7 to lead to E. I won't get into the whole theoretical background behind that because that would take me a little bit away, and I want to make sure I use every minute I have and not keep y'all here all night. But this is kind of a different mode thing. So I think of the song "Lovely Day" by Bill Withers. When I wake up in the morning, Kurt Franklin redid it, and the hum right here. Right. So for sure. So you can use this to go to E. So go a whole step up. Well done, Derek. You can also use, and all we're doing is saying this is a dominant chord. So wherever I would use a dominant chord, I can use this particular move. So dominant chords also move up half step. So I could go from right. So I could go up to E flat major. Gaming says, I wish I was fortunate to learn theory. I had to just learn playing by myself. Yeah, but you're learning now. You're learning now. So I definitely understand. Like, we wish our upbringing had been different. But appreciate what you did have. Because a lot of people wish they had the opportunity to learn by ear. And learn by themselves and figure these things out. All right. So, aha. So let me think of let me see it. There's a jazz tune called Groovin' High. So there's a jazz tune that goes with that. So E flat major, then A minor to D7, back to E flat major. All right, do you see it? So if I was chording that, all right. So again, A minor to D7. Then we do the move, and then. Hey, Brenda. Brenda asks, how do you apply the passing chords, drops, movements in a hymn? The same way. Wherever you have, so in this case, but you asked for a whole lot of stuff. Okay, Brenda, I did one called I Need the Hymn Reharmonization, where I kind of talked through all those different things. So I have that video up on my channel. So definitely check that one for sure. I said this kind of piggybacks off Alan Merville and how he taught this. Yes, I'm a big fan of Alan Merville, and him and I actually agree on quite a lot of things. Okay, so I could go up to E flat with this move. All right. Where else can a dominant chord move? So we've already determined that this particular move, which is a move that happens on a dominant chord, can move to G major or to G minor or to even E. That's a little brighter, or even to E flat. But where else can it go? Anybody? E minor. That's kind of the same thing as E major, but sure, we can go. I go there. Yeah, for sure. Derek that's the answer I was looking for. Derek, you got an A for today, man. You are on it, Derek. Dominant chords can move down a half step. So, there's a gospel song. What is it? So there's a gospel song called "I Love You, Jesus" I think it's by Lamar Campbell. But there's a chord that everybody plays in this song. It's an A flat, in the key of A flat. And to get to the 4 chord, everybody does this particular chord. Or something to that effect. Right? Alright. So we know, so that just kind of shows that the dominant chord can move down a half step. So let's try this move. So let's try it in that song. So it's all right. Now, this one needs a little bit of work. Why does it need some work? Because the melody note is out of the key of A flat, and so it's very dissonant to the ear. And so here's one principle: the ear can receive anything if you properly prepare it. Meaning, I can play anything I want if I properly prepare the ear to receive it. So I can make this work, but I have to prepare your ear to receive this when we've been in this tonality. So what can I do? Let's try making a melodic statement that goes down. So. Not as good, but we're kind of getting there, and I can keep working on it. All right, and so I hope you're kind of seeing how I've taken this one chord and moved it, started moving it and moving it to different keys, different chords. So now this one idea can lead me to G major, G minor, E major, E minor, E flat major, D flat major, like all of these keys. Just this one idea. And we haven't even finished with this idea yet. So I started thinking about this, and Brenda says, "Can you apply it to I Surrender All?" Sure, let's try that. Let's see. So let's do it in the key of B flat. Did you hear it? So right there. Did you hear it, Brenda? Alright, so you hear it? Alright. Right here. So anytime I'm going to the G minor, right here it is. All right, so there you go, Brenda. Let me know if that helped you. Okay, so let's look at this particular move again. Well, what if I didn't play the D? Wait, before I go there, because that's going to take us down rabbit trail, another rabbit trail. Herbert says goes with any 5 chord. That's exactly right. Let's try this idea. So I'm looking at this and saying, well, can I adjust any of my notes in this and give it a different sound? So I said, what if I did this? So instead of flat 9, I went to just a regular root. And that's really a clean sound. Right? Such a clean sound. Like a Disney movie. Right? So all it did was adjust one note, my 9 going back to the root now, and now I have a completely different sound, and now this takes me on a world of adventure. Right? B Phil back says I have to train my mind to think that way and develop my ear to hear that sound. Yeah, for sure. And then once you start hearing the sound, what you'll discover is you hear it in music. You hear it everywhere. It's like when you buy a new car and you think you're the only one that has that car, and then you get on the road and you start seeing everybody has that same car. It's kind of like the same idea, right? All right, here's another way I decided to adjust it. I said, okay, what if I what if I changed this one, this C? So, right, so that gives you an angular sound, right? Right. Alright, so that's the angular sound. So I'll use that sound and go back and watch some of the old videos, and you'll see me doing this everywhere. Alright, versus, right? Okay, so I started messing with these sounds and taking this one idea and just trying to see what all I can get out of this one thing. And so I started messing with it some more, and I said, what happens if I take off the D? Alright, now this is going to open, buckle your seatbelts, because this is going to open a whole like unbelievable can of worms, like Pandora's box. What is this chord? Well, it's on the screen. I forgot, I didn't take it off. Well, since it's on the screen, I'll just tell you, it's F sharp diminished 7. So, wait a minute. This can be used in the place of a diminished chord as well. So wherever I have this, and the interesting thing about diminished chords is they're symmetrical. So this is the same as this. They all use the same notes when you invert them. So F sharp diminished is the same as A diminished, which is the same as C diminished, which is the same as E flat diminished. Alright, so Duncan asked about can I do that in a song like What a Beautiful Name. So it's a Hill song. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. Alright. So I would do it when I go to that 6. Now CCM music or Hillsong music has a particular sound, and this is not really Hillsong-ish, but you can still use it. So I hope that helps, Duncan. All right. So yeah, this revelation. Now this works for any diminished chord, and those in the diminished. In gospel, diminished is the thing. So anytime I had a diminished chord, this was what I played. And then. Alright, and so now whenever I see a diminished chord, so let's see, where might I see a diminished chord? Let's see. Let's try just a weird example for the gospel musicians. Let's say I was in church backing up a preacher in the key of I don't know, E flat. Alright. So let's say I want to go to diminish, right? Well, I could do the same move. Sorry. So anytime I have diminish, I can use this idea, right? And we can stay here for probably another hour or two just coming up with diminished examples. Um, and so kind of the 3-step idea is find your idea, transcribe it. So learn it here. If you want to write it out, notate it after you've learned it, right? And then figure out what's happening. What is this particular idea? Where is it located? And you can use context clues in the song, like what is its function, and then try to apply it to as many places as you can. So let's do one more for maybe my jazz people. Karen, yes, hey Karen Ingram from Memphis. Yeah, I definitely remember you. All right. Let me just do one more. This was a lick I took from Keith Jarrett. If you're not familiar with Keith Jarrett, he's the Michael Jordan of jazz piano. He's that guy. And I was listening to his solos, and I transcribe a lot of. I've transcribed a lot of his stuff. This is one that I remember transcribing that stuck with me, so I want to share it with you. So I think it was in this song. It was either in Autumn Leaves or what is this thing called, Love. I think it was in one of this song. I think it was. But nevertheless, this is the lick. Here's how it goes. I just play the lick by itself. You hear it? Now he was doing it over a 2-5-1 progression, so. Let's see. Jaren says, first time I'm seeing your your live chat. Love it. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, Tanasha, he is amazing. Hello, Greg from Forest City, Arkansas. All right, so anytime I have a 2-5-1, I can use that idea. And I'm going to move quickly because we're over an hour now. So let me just kind of quickly move through this. But I can just take part of it. I can take the second measure. That's over the F7. So anytime I have a dominant chord, I have a lick I can play. Hello, Darren from Singapore. Thanks for coming on. Right? So that little snippet changed the game for me. Now, let me give you just a couple tips of how you can get this into your playing. Integrated a line like this, because this is different than the chord in a sense. So I would recommend learning it one hand first, so your right hand, and then your left hand. Oh, sorry. And then both hands together. I add a little bit afterwards. So learn to lick both hands for lines like that, and then how do you integrate into your playing, especially when you're doing something like improvisation? So for those who are jazz guys or like to improvise, um, um, let's see. What you want to do is try to play before the line and then after the line. So maybe a measure two before and a measure two after. So let's see. I'm gonna try playing. So I'll do a G7 sharp 9 sharp 5 before I go to a C minor. So I'll try something like. Right. So I play before and after. Right. Let's see. That's cool. All right, thanks, Derek. Really appreciate you. Duncan, I'm not using Keyscape or Ravenscroft for this one. I'm just using my keyboard sound. I have a Yamaha S90ES. I'm just using the natural piano sound. All right. Let's just try it over a dominant chord. So let's say I'm doing like a 3. So let's see. Let's say I'm 3. I'm playing myself. 6. I'm in B flat. Now here I'm on 2. All right. So listen. I encourage you all to definitely transcribe all the time, often, daily. Learn something new, and then apply it to your playing. And if you take these steps, your playing will improve dramatically. I promise you. Jordan says you've inspired me so much. Thanks. Oh, no problem, Jordan. Let's see. Urban says you have opened up a lot on the subject. I had questions on it. I have Alan's course, and what you're teaching opens it up now. Okay, cool. Well, Urban, after you finish with Alan's course, come on and take one of our courses. We can help you even more. Shameless plug. Esteval Iwal says, great, I'm your fan from Brazil. You know what? I have to get down to Brazil. I would love to go down there and do a workshop or something, just because I have quite a few people from there contact me regularly, so I'd love to go down there. But anyway, are there any questions? Because I think we're at 1 hour and 5 minutes. We've been at it for a little while now. So are there any questions? What sound do you use? Well, when I do my YouTube videos, my normal ones, I either use the Yamaha the Spectrasonics Keyscapes Yamaha C7, or the UVI Ravenscroft 275 piano. For my live streams, I just use my keyboard, which is a Yamaha S90ES. Tanasha says, I came late. Can I get the whole video? Yeah, matter of fact, you can just click back to the beginning, and you can just click back to the beginning and play. But this video's up, so when I end the stream, it'll still be up, so you can still watch it. Noriko says, when you construct inner chord, you see bass and melody first, right? Yeah, so when I play a chord, I'm looking outside first, and then I get the inside. Yeah. Darren says, your video on passive chords is amazing. Thanks for the great stuff today. Would love a jazz-centric lesson soon. Alright, let's see what I can do. Herman says, soon. Your style sticks to me. Cool deal. Daniel, do you play in a band? No, I don't play in any particular regular bands, anything like that. I'm the music director at a church here in Atlanta. So that band, I guess. But no other. Karen says, When can we expect your album? You're an artist. I appreciate that, Karen. Uh, I don't know. I've had a dream, and I'll share this with y'all. I've had a dream of doing just an album with um, with a darabuka, just a piano and like a darabuka drum. Um, I would love to do that, um, or even one of the bigger drums. Just kind of have some fun. So maybe that might happen soon. I'm not sure. What do you think when you improvise? Scales, arpeggios? I'm thinking sounds. There was a time, like when you're first learning ideas, you're definitely thinking specifically about the lines and how to make them work. But after a while, you stop thinking about that and just think about what you're trying to convey. It's like a language. When you learn a particular language, you're learning the words and how to say them. But after a while, you stop thinking about the words and think about the bigger meaning that you're trying to convey. So what about live worship sessions? What do I play? Um, Mainly my motif. Um, Occasionally Ravenscroft. Jerron, yeah, every Wednesday at 9:30 we're here. 9:30 Eastern Time, New York. How often should someone practice to improve faster? Well, Elijah, it depends on your goal. If you are a beginner hobbyist, not really trying to be a professional musician, then I would say 10, 15, 30 minutes a day. Um, if you're trying to be a professional musician, though, or you are a professional musician, then I would say 2 hours a day. Um, when I was in college and really trying to come up and really grow, I was doing 4 hours a day. All right. Daniel, yeah, I used to gig pretty heavily 4 or 5 nights a week, doing jazz gigs, but I kind of gave that up. So I don't gig as much doing jazz anymore. Um, can you learn to transcribe when you don't know music notation well? Well, I think it's important to. Okay, so yeah, you can transcribe it and create your own system, but if you want it to be something like the music you see on the screen, then you definitely need to learn how to um, write it out. So definitely, I would encourage you to learn that skill. Thanks for the answer, Cora. Oh, you're welcome, Daniel. Elijah. I love the 4 hours. Yeah, listen, and the more time you put in it, now some people say 4 hours. After 4 hours, you reach a point of diminishing returns, where the returns you get don't aren't as great. However, I know several. I've heard stories of several musicians like Eddie Brown, who used to practice like 10, 12, 16 hours a day. I heard Corey Henry, heard he practiced like all day. Um, so I've heard unbelievable stories about musicians and how they practice. So um, um, 4 hours is cool. That's what I did. Yeah, I'm not sure how much Coltrane practiced, Daniel. I'm sure it was insane. All right, any other questions, you all? Thank y'all so much for coming on and being part of the live stream. Hey, listen, if you could do one thing for me, if you could share this, um, share with your friends, share on your Facebook channel, share on Instagram that we're doing a live stream, and to help me promote and get more people in. I want to help more and more people, as many people as possible. That's my goal to help. That's our whole model is just helping musicians improve. So I want to help as many as I can. Let's see. Which gospel songs do you recommend to listen and play and try to reharmonize? Hymns for sure. John Edwards. How do you transcribe on paper when you only have basic theory knowledge? Um, um, well, you don't need you need knowledge on how to notate, so you don't even need to have all the theory in the real information to be able to just write down the note that you played. Just just notation ability. About improvisation, I know the scales, chords, and badges, but my improv is a little mechanical. Have you been through this? For sure. I've definitely been through the whole mechanical improvisation. Um, I teach a course on improvisation in an online school where I go through a whole methodology on how to improvise. I'd love for you to be part of that class. Um, so here's the link if you to check out our courses. I believe our improvisation course could definitely help you. What do you listen to? I love your playing. You inspire me. I have a couple artists that I I really listen to. Um, in the jazz world, I write them down. In the jazz world, Keith Jarrett, Barry Harris, Taylor Ice-D. In the gospel world, I listen to everybody, everybody. Um, there's a guy here in Atlanta named Eric Miller that I really spent some time studying. Um, mm, yeah, quite a few guys. Let's see. I think Rodney East. Glenn Gibson. I was just listening to Eddie Brown today. Corey Henry. Alright. Ben Davis. Wait, is that Ben? Ben, is that Ben from Piney Grove? If that's you, Ben, it's great to hear from you. Great to hear from you. When I was 17, I got hired on at a church named Piney Grove while I was in school at Clemson University. And Ben was a youngster. He might have been, I don't know, 10, 11? Maybe younger. And he was my drummer. Wow. Those are good times. All right. All right, there we go. I see. All right. Frantic says, how do you practice your technical skills? Things like, I have a video on YouTube where I talk about how I improve my technique. So check out my channel. It's titled "How I Improved My Technique," where I go over it in great detail. Oh, there, what a wonderful world. Yep, that was it. Rashad says, how do you master every key with trying to learn other technical stuff? Um, uh, every little thing you learn, move it to, take it through every key. So that's part of your learning period. So this lick, I have to take it through every single key to get it. Right? I take it through every key to get it. Um, and I try to apply it everywhere. So you just have to work through it for sure. Ben says, I was super young then. You definitely inspired me to go practice. Oh, thanks, man. Listen, I had just started playing gospel music. I just started playing gospel music when I was 17, right before I went off to college. And I went to Piney Grove. I went to Clemson, and then I got hired on at Piney Grove when I was 17. I didn't know anything. So I was desperately trying to learn. Oh, man. Uh, all right. Well, if there are no other questions, thank you all so much for being on the live stream with me. Again, make sure you share this. Let everyone know. Let your friends, family, let everyone know what we're doing on Wednesday nights at 9:30. Um, I love to have thousands of people on this live stream. Um, I just want to help as many musicians as I can improve. So thank y'all so much. Um, and um, until the next one, be blessed and happy practicing.